Hey, it's your open source advocate, and I'm here to talk to you about another VPN. It's really not another VPN. This is a continuation of the one that I did last week. It's called Wireguard VPN. Today we're going to talk about a UI-based server GUI called Subspace. This is a project that was created by some guys who wanted to have a nice server-side UI for setting up clients as you go along for WireGuard. So last week I took you through the very manual steps of getting that set up, and this week I just want to discuss really how we go about getting the client set up whenever you're using this UI. It does make things a little bit easier. There's still a few steps to go through to get everything set up and running, but it's really nice to be able to log in and see something like this where you have different machines set up. Here they're showing groupings. I'm not sure that I've seen that version yet. Maybe that's the version we'll get. Maybe that's something that's coming. But still, to see these types of things here that make it really easy to go get that configuration file, to be able to install it, to be able to see that you've got these different machines set up on your system is really great. So one thing about WireGuard is that it doesn't give you a really good view of which machines are connected to your interface at any given time. So being able to look here and see that is really nice, and having the names of those machines and what they're running is really great. So this is a GitHub project, and you can see some other screenshots down here of what the project looks like, and then you can see the features, and then they have different ways to run this. So this is created by Portal Cloud, so they have how to run this on their Portal Cloud instance, their VPS. You can run Subspace on other VPS as well. We're going to run this on DigitalOcean today, and we're going to basically use the Docker image to do this. So if you're not really familiar with Docker, it's really a great tool for doing a lot of things, and there's lots of Docker containers out there that let you do things really easily. So really using Docker isn't hard, but you need to get Docker installed if it's not already installed in your system, and then basically let Docker do the work for you. It's a containerization, so it really kind of creates like a small virtual machine that runs on your server, and it does some things to kind of keep everything isolated on your server. It's pretty cool. I'll get into that one in a little bit more detail in another video, but for now just know that we're going to use Docker to run this today. So the instructions are here. I'm really just going to run through what they have for instructions, tell you a couple of things that I found that are different, and then we'll give this a try and see how things work. So I'm going to go through this manually the first time, and then at the end I'll show you a script that I wrote that you kind of basically just run the script and let it do its thing. It'll prompt you a couple of times for answers, but other than that it's very quick, and it gets everything set up in about 3 to 4 minutes, and you're up and running on Subspace. So I'll also make sure that in the show notes I have that script set up for you to go access and use if you want to. Alright, so the first thing I want to do is go start up a DigitalOcean container. So we'll jump over here, and there we go. Do create droplet. I'm just going to leave it on the Ubuntu 14.04 or 18.04, not 14.04. Leave it on standard. I'm going to slide over here and do the $5 droplet. So this one, just WireGuard VPN, whether you're using Subspace or not, is really inexpensive to run. So that makes it pretty nice. Use my keys to log in. And I'm going to give it this name, vpn.opensourceisawesome.com. Alright, double check that spelling. Everything looks good. Hit create, and we will let the droplet create here. Once it's done, we'll grab the IP address and we'll jump over here to hover. And we're going to go into opensourceisawesome.com. We'll go into the DNS tab. This is where we're at. And hit add, and we want an A record. It's going to be VPN. So let's jump over and see if we've got our IP address yet. And we do, so we'll just copy that. And we're just going to paste it in here. And then we're going to pick 5 minutes and hit go. So that should be ready here in just a few minutes. I'm going to bring up our terminal, and we can go ahead and SSH in to the IP address. and we can start taking care of a few steps up front. So anytime we do this, we do update We do apt update, apt upgrade -y. Let that run through. Just make sure the system's all up to date, all the security patches are installed. I got one the other day, yesterday I think, that, yeah, it went really quick like that. So I think DigitalOcean has upgraded their image, which is great. That makes it really easy for us. So we'll clear that out. And I'll tell you, again, I'm going to go through the manual steps, but I have created a nice bash script that kind of ties all of that together. Just prompts you in a couple of places where it needs to prompt you so that you can actually get everything done. Makes it really easy. So I do want to go through it manually first so you can see what all the steps are, but then I'll also do it at the end. I'll go through that bash script and do the same kind of process here and just show you how much easier it is, and then I'll make that available to you so that you can get it if you're interested in using it. So I am going to bring up the site here because they have all of their instructions here. I really just kind of followed this. I didn't do anything out of the ordinary. So we'll kind of go through this a little bit here at a time. So first thing we have to do is add the Wireguard PPA, update and install Wireguard, which we did that on the last episode. We did it a little bit different. We did Wireguard-DKMS and then Wireguard tools and then Linux headers. We're going to try it with this one because this is what they say will work. So if that's the case, that's great. Makes it much easier. So we'll bring terminal back up. So first we have to do add apt repository PPA : and I think there's no slash, that's just Wireguard /Wireguard. And then it should prompt us. We'll hit enter to say yes, that's what we want to do. It's going to update. I still always run the update afterwards just to make sure it gets done. So I'll do apt update. Alright, and then we'll do apt install Wireguard. Yes. So it's going to go through the process here of installing Wireguard. This just takes a few seconds. It really doesn't take that long, but I'll shut up and then I'll fast forward through this for you. Alright, that's complete. So now we're going to remove Dns Mask. So it says apt remove Dns Mask. And we'll use apt auto remove because that's what the system's telling us. So apt auto remove and then confirm. That's done. So I am going to reboot the droplet here just because it did do some kernel work whenever it installed Wireguard. So this is not something that'll happen whenever we use the script. I don't think it's going to matter, but just to be sure. Alright, so we're logged back in, and this time I SSH'd in to the vpn.opensourceisawesome.com URL instead of using the IP address. So the next step that they want you to do is to change this name server entry, but in updated versions of Ubuntu, the etc/resolve.conf doesn't actually change anything. It's a symlink to another file, and so if you change it, it's not going to actually stay that way. It's going to change right back. So I don't do that step, and I've got a different step that we're going to go through. So I'm actually going to change. So we're going to edit this file called etc/network/interfaces. So we just use nano to get in here. And we're going to add this line, name servers. We're going to put 4 spaces, and then we're going to do addresses, colon, open bracket 1.1.1.1, and close the bracket, and then Control O to save it, Control X to get out of it. That's pretty much it for that step, but that should change our name servers to be 1.1.1.1. We can do ping google.com, and it still is able to get to Google, so that's good. We'll clear that out. So we can do net plan apply just to see if that took shape there. We'll do ping google.com again. Still able to ping Google, so great. So now we need to load some modules. So we're going to do a few mod probe Wireguard. Make sure you spell these correctly. Mod probe IP table underscore nat, and then mod probe IP 6 table underscore nat. So just 3 steps there. This is all handled by the script that we run. The only part that's not handled is that changing of that DNS entry that we did a while ago for the name server. So I'll have that as a step that you do manually. But other than that, everything else is handled by the script. And we will move up in our steps. So we do want to do the sysctl. We did this last time with just installing WireGuard itself, so we can do that. And you can just highlight and then middle click. And then we'll do it again for the IPv6. Even though I don't use IPv6, we'll do it here. And again, highlight, middle click. So they have Docker installation instructions at this link. I'm just going to use the instructions that I've already got here in my system. So this first set of instructions, it's all on one line, but we can actually just take this and hit enter. Oops, it tried to do it. Okay. I'm going to hit up and just hit enter one more time to make sure it gets everything done there. That's good. I'm unable to locate that package. Yeah, I'd rather do this properly, so let's do this. Let's type it out. So let's do apt install apt transport -https ca certificates curl GNU PG agent and software properties dash whatever that is, Kamanacher. Unable to locate a package. Did I spell it wrong? Quite possibly. Let's go look at the Docker install instructions, since I can't remember what I'm trying to type and I may have copied something incorrectly. So it just wants common there. There we go. Now it wants to install everything properly, which is great. So spelling really matters. Alright, good. So we've got step 1 down. We'll just go through their instructions since we've got them open. So we're just going to get that command and run it. And I'm sure this is big enough, but I'll enlarge it a little bit for you. So we'll check the key fingerprint. Okay. Then we'll add the repository. Oops, I did not copy sudo all the way. We'll update it one more time just to be sure it took. And finally, we are going to install Docker. select components, confirm. And again, I'll let this run and I'll fast forward for you so I don't have to sit through it. And it's done. So once Docker gets installed, really it just comes down to running this command. This is a command that is broken out line by line, so you can't just jump back up in the lines and do it, unfortunately. So we need this command, and then we've got to change this little part right here to be our FQDN or our IP address so that it knows where we're trying to point. That's really the only change you have to make in this entire command. You do have to make a data directory, so we'll do that here in just a second. Again, the script that I wrote does everything, and it will prompt you for this domain name, and the rest of it gets done. So it installs Docker, it does everything, which makes it a little bit quicker than going through it manually, but I think it's worthwhile to go through it manually so you can see everything that we're doing here. So I'm going to bring my terminal forward, and I will kind of raise it up, and then we'll lower this down so we can see both. I'll just clear this out. So we want Docker create. Don't forget your backslash at the end of every line, or it'll try to execute. It won't allow you to continue on your own. Name is Subspace, so it's going to create a Docker container called Subspace. Oops, and I have to Control-C out of this. We're going to start again. Because Docker create, you have to put your hyphens so that it knows what your switch is. So this is going to create a Docker container called Subspace, and we want it to restart if the machine restarts. We want it to use the host network. Don't honestly know what this command means, but I know that I can't have a space there between the hyphens and that switch. Now here's a step I forgot to do. So we have to make a directory called /data here in a minute so that this knows where it's looking, because it's going to freak out if we don't. So finally, the last line, we tell it, go grab the Docker image for Subspace Cloud /Subspace and get the latest version. Now, will it let me actually take all of this? We're going to find out, because I didn't create my... So make directory /data. Now, hey, it did do it. Great. Let's double check everything. So we're going to retype it. Great. That's okay. Docker create. I won't make you sit through it as I say it all again. Alright, so it's going to try to find that image locally, and if it doesn't, it'll go out to the Docker store and pull it down. So that's everything that it's doing, and it's done. So we've got it installed, the container's created, everything's ready, and finally we just run this step right here, which is sudo docker start subspace. If you're running on the server as root like I am, you don't need the sudo part, so you just highlight copy, and it's done. So if everything went according to plan, we should now be able to get to Subspace on our host. I do notice the first time it does take it a second to come up. Normally, if I type it correctly, it helps. We'll try it again here. There we go. So this is what you're usually greeted by whenever you do Subspace for the first time. So I'll do my email. And a password. Make sure it's a strong password. And then you create the account. The first thing it does is it actually brings you to the settings tab here, and it tells you, okay, if you want to use single sign-on, SAML, Active Directory, things like that, here's the ways that you can set that up. It does give you some different URLs to help you do those things. And then down here, you can actually basically change your password. So put in your old password, put in your new password, and change it if you need to, but this is all just settings. So what we're interested in really is here. So you have help and sign out, but then here we have the real stuff. So remember I said I didn't see the group piece, so I still don't see that here. I may be missing something, but you can see we don't have any actual machine set up, so all you do is give it a machine name. So in this case I'm on Brian, iMac, Ubuntu, and we'll go down here and say that it's Linux, and that's it. It's done. So it's telling me here I can download my WireGuard config. Now it's going to automatically name it wg0.conf. That's fine. So I've got it here in wg0.conf. What I'm going to do is go and open up a new terminal window, and we will go to downloads, and I'm going to say mv wg0.conf to wg2.conf because we've done wg0 and wg1, and ta-da, it's wg2. Now I need to do sudo move wg2.conf to /etc/wireguard on my local machine here, and it's going to prompt me what? Oh, I misnamed it. Move wb2.conf to wg2.conf. And let's try this move again. There we go. So again, make sure you're typing things correctly. If you get in a hurry, you make mistakes like I do. Now we can say sudo wg quick up wg2 trying to do the resolve.conf. So let's see, can we ping our server? It looks like it gave us a server address. So this is .2, so 10.99.97.1. We're going to try to ping that. Getting responses back, that's a good sign. Ping google.com. This is where we always run into a problem. It is not just automatically using the DNS on the server. So that's no problem. I showed you how to modify these configuration files before. It's the same thing. So we're going to hit Control C. We're going to bring down WG2. And we will go and edit. So we have DNS right here. So the DNS is telling us, hey, you need to point at that server. That's not working. It's okay, no big deal. We just tell it 208.67.222.222 and 208.67.220.220. That's OpenDNS servers. We save that and we bring up our interface again. And there we go, ping google.com. Now we're getting our pings back. That's what we want. And then let's just go check our IP address on IPChicken. So IPChicken.com. And this looks like it's my actual server out there. So let's bring our interface down. We'll bring this down so you can keep an eye on the IP address there. And so our interface is down, and we'll refresh, and there you go. There's my home IP address. So it's not terrible to set up Subspace, and you do get a little bit of a nice user interface here. So I'll go back to the main page so you can see what it looks like. And now we've got this machine listed. So I can now do this for each machine. I can give it a name, hit this little thing, tell it what kind of device it is, and I can go get it. So if I create one, I'll just say my iPhone. I'm not going to scan it. You've seen me do that before, but you'd want to give it a better name than that probably. But then I go down here to iOS and I say create, and it's done, and it gives you the QR code that you can now scan and you can connect using that. Now again, you might have to go into the app itself and modify the DNS servers in order to get out to the internet. I need to research that a little bit more and see what I'm doing wrong. I'm sure it's something networking that's not allowing that to work correctly. I know you think, hey, you skipped that step that they said to do, but I've done that step. It doesn't change it. I've checked it. I've double checked it. I wish that was the problem, but that's not it. So I will continue to look into it, and as I get more information, I'll update you. I am going to go on to the script now, so I'm going to destroy all of these things, and we'll do this with a script instead. Alright, I'm back, and I'm going to run this script. So we will run the script to install Subspace that I made, and we'll kind of go through that. So I'm going to go back over here to DigitalOcean. I'm going to create a new droplet. I'll just leave it on Ubuntu, leave it on standard. I'm going to hit this little left arrow, $5. I'm going to keep scrolling down. Again, always pick the place that's closest to you physically. Then I'm going to pick my key. We'll continue down, and I'm going to name this just like we did before. And click on create. While that's going through the creation process, I'll just jump over to hover here. I'll click to create a new A record. That's the one I want. So I'm going to type in VPN. And then when DigitalOcean finishes, I'll grab the IP address from it here. And we'll just copy it and paste it in. So we're going to copy. I'm just going to paste that in. 5 minutes. And that should be running. So while we're waiting on that, I have this script that I created. So I'm going to cdp cloud drive and scripts, and I'm going to scp my subspace script to root at that IP address. I'll put in colon tilde slash, so it just puts it in the main directory whenever I log in. And it's there. So that was nice, simple, straightforward. And there's our script. So I'm just going to say sh./subspace and hit tab, so it creates the rest of the script name for me. I'm just going to hit enter. I'm going to let this run. I'll kind of talk through what it's doing as it goes. It's only going to prompt me, or it should only prompt me in one spot for my FQDN, my domain name. So I'll fill that in when it does. Whenever you do that, if you do happen to go get this script and run it, you're definitely going to want to make sure that you type that in correctly, because if you type it in incorrectly, it's not going to work right. So I'm going to hit enter. First thing it's going to do is just run the updates for the packages and then upgrade the server. Like I said, it's a new image out there in DigitalOcean, so that step's pretty quick. Now it's going to go add the repository for Wireguard. It updates the server, and then I just tell it to update again, and then I started installing the Wireguard part. So this part takes a little bit more time because it actually goes out and rebuilds the kernel module for you. but that's pretty easy. So it'll take a few seconds to do that. The last part's pretty much the longest part, just kind of waiting on the kernel module to be rebuilt and then set up. Alright, that piece is done. WireGuard's installed, the DKMS kernel module is installed, and it's getting everything ready here. So it's doing the setup and processing the triggers. Alright, that step's done. So we're now removing the DNS mask, and then we jump right into the next pieces here, and I kind of just echo out the different things that it's doing as we go along so you can kind of see what's happening there. Now we're going out and actually getting the Docker information that we need. So it's going to install Docker. Now that Docker's installed, I just want to test the Hello World Docker piece. So it's going to just run that little application that Docker has out there to test it. Everything looks good there. I'm going to set up that data directory. So real simple on that part. And now it wants my domain name. So vpn.opensourceisawesome.com. Just double checking my spelling. Let it continue. It's going to go pull down the Subspace container image. And then I give it 20 seconds. And this is just something I put in because I want to give everything time to kind of finish up with the Docker install. It probably doesn't need it. You can go in and change that if you really want to. And I'll show you what the script looks like in a minute. But I just did it. It makes me feel better. So, and usually it takes me 20 seconds to go find the start command, which is really simple actually. So that's it. It started up the Subspace container. We should be able to go and get to the Subspace container now. So we'll go to vpn.open. I think I spelled that correctly. And here we are. So again, it just comes up and it wants me to create a login. And one more time. And my password that I want to have a nice secure long password there. Oops. Maybe I didn't type in my email address right. There we go. Now we're logged in. I don't know what this is. Alright, so I can now give my machine a name. And Brian iMac. And this is Linux. And I can download my file. So it's going to call it wg0.conf. That's fine. We can change that. We know how to do that. So we can say exit and clear downloads. Move wg0.conf to wg3.conf. And then sudo move wg3.conf to /etc/wireguard. Make sure I spelled that correctly. And it's there, sudo wg quick up wg3. There it goes. So when it kind of hangs on this resolve.conf step, that generally makes me think that the IP forwarding just isn't going to work. Not so much IP forwarding, but the being able to route through to the internet. So Google just loads by default as Chromium. But if I actually click on Google You can see it just starts spinning, so that's my indicator that it's not actually doing what I want. So I need to take the interface back down. And you'll see Google load up here in the background here in a minute. If I just click on it, there we go. So I still need to make a modification to this. I did not set up my name server during that script. So let's just try this first. Let's just go to sudo nano /etc/wireguard /wg3.conf. And you can see our DNS is set to our server. So I'm not even doing IPv6. I can just take that out. And let's just set this to 208.67.222.222.67.220.220. Save it. And then bring it back up. Okay, it came up, it looks like. Yep. So let's see if we can get to Google now. Yes, let's see if we can get to IP Chicken. And we can, and there is my URL, or my IP address. So it's all working. You do have to go and change the DNS settings if you want to run it like this. And I don't really know why that's not working on the server side. I'll try to dig in a little bit and do an update on it when I figure out what's going on. But that's it. The script runs really well. So I'm going to put it out on GitHub, and I will link that in the show notes as well. Hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please like and subscribe. Leave me comments so I can get better. Ask questions if you have them. I'll do my best to answer them. And we'll see you next time. Thanks.